Once upon a time, there was a story about a woman named Jasmine, who lived in adultery with a snake. When her husband was not at home and became pregnant, I don't want to consider this story as a true story, but as a bedtime story told step by adults. At that time, there was a couple named Jake and Jasmine, who lived in a small forest village, and they had a daughter. Their family lived together in a small forest outside the village. Her husband often went to work in the city for a long time. One day, the husband went to the city and worked for several months. When her husband was not at home, Jasmine and her daughter, who remained at home, took an axe and went out to cut wood in the forest. When they arrived in the forest, the woman, Jasmine, started cutting a tree with the axe, but the axe bone fell off and drifted away. When she went to the place where the axe had fallen, there was a big snake sleeping in a hole, and the big snake came out of the hole. Jasmine was not afraid at all. She told the snake to return her axe. "Oh snake, give me back my axe that fell into your pit." The snake refused the woman and said that if she wants the axe back, he will only give it back if she and he live together as husband and wife. Since Jasmine had a tendency to want to commit adultery from the beginning, she willingly agreed to the snake's offer. Then the woman said to the snake, "I accept your request. Therefore, in the evening, I will ask my daughter to call you. You come to my house," she said. The snake agreed to her request. In the evening, when the sun was about to set, Jasmine sent her daughter to bring home the big snake that she had seen in the afternoon. The daughter went to the big tree where the snake was in and called out to the big snake. Immediately, the big snake came out of the hole with a black body. The little girl was also scared, but she returned home with the snake. When the snake arrived at the house, Jasmine asked the snake to stay in the room and told that she had a husband. She told the snake that her husband had gone to work in the city for a long time. Therefore, she lived together with the big snake and asked the snake to promise not to have any enmity. When her husband returned one day, the snake also agreed. Immediately, the snake transformed into the form of a handsome young man. In this way, Jasmine and the snake lived happily together. After several months, she became pregnant with the snake. One day, when Jake returned from the city, he found that his wife was pregnant, and he was shocked to the point of disbelief. It had been quite a while since he and his wife had been together. He wondered how his wife had become pregnant. Then he asked his daughter quietly to clarify his doubt. The daughter felt pity for the father and did not like the actions of her mother, so she told her father that her mother had been living with the snake in her father's absence. After that, Jake made a plan while his wife was away. His wife was visiting to the women living in the village. At that time, he asked his daughter to tell the snake that her mother had given birth to twins, and asked her to go and fetch the snake. The daughter went to the place where the big snake was, and said as her father said. The big snake immediately followed her happily. Jake was holding a blade and was waiting from the entrance of the room for the snake to come. When the big snake entered the room, he cut the big snake's neck with the blade he was holding. After that, he took the dead snake and put it on the shelf in front of the house and planted the snake's head with a bamboo spike. He skinned the dead snake's body, cut the meat into pieces, and cooked it as a dish for his wife. When the woman returned home, she saw her husband cooking a large pot of curry and asked, "Dear, there are so many dishes. What are you not cooking?" The woman Punari looked at the pot full of curry and asked in amazement. The daughter said, "We are cooking pork." After that, the three families were eating together. At that time, a crow flew towards their house, saw a snake's head planted on the tip of a bamboo branch, and came to the window to rest.
"They are cutting off his head and eating his flesh. They are cutting off his head and eating his flesh,"
the crow shouted. When Jasmine looked back, She saw a snake's head embedded in the tip of the bamboo spike and realized that her husband's snake was hardly dead. When she found out that the dish she was eating was the meat of her beloved snake, she couldn't control her tears. Her husband saw his wife in tears and asked her, "Oh, lovely, why are you crying?" "Oh, my lord, it's nothing. I am in tears because the dishes are so hot," the woman pretended to answer hurriedly. But the crow did not stop and continued to scream.
She is eating his flesh, but with tears on her cheeks.
She ran to the front of the house because of the crow's scream. What she saw at that time was the snake's head planted on the tip of a bamboo stick and some parts of the snake's body, so she was crying uncontrollably. The woman did not pay attention to her husband because her husband was a cool person. Her husband didn't ask any more and pretended not to know. One day, Jake found out that his wife was about to give birth, and so he brought her to bathe at the wharf while Jasmine was preparing to take a bath. Jake began to cut his wife's abdomen in the middle with a blade from the woman's stomach. Many disgusting little snakes came out. Jake also killed the small snakes with the blade. Some baby snakes escaped into the river. I hope that my audience will like this story presented now. More interesting stories will be presented. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please also press the notification button to be notified whenever a new video is uploaded.